Hello, this is Blake Allen with Allen Realty in Manitou Springs, Colorado, here with another formula to help with the pandemic as we try to keep working and adjust to a new normal in this world of real estate. This is primarily for brokers with clients who have transactions ready to happen, but where the bank has just recently said no. I think my fellow CCIMs and exchange brokers are in a unique position, or the best position, to help their clients and help the real estate community through this pandemic and help us through this temporary crisis. So these are it's kind of a unique set of circumstances, and I just want to make sure that everybody understands what we're talking about. If you have a circumstance where the bank said no and the seller of the property that is being acquired with the bank loan that didn't happen is going to do a 1031 exchange, then we can accommodate it through a vehicle we call 1031 paper. And I'd like to go through that. But the one takeaway really I want for you is that you can do a seller carry and still do a 1031 exchange. What I always tell people when I teach classes about that is that, what are these? These are promissory notes from the Federal Reserve. They're printing a lot of them recently. Anything that we can do with cash, we can do with promissory notes, including the 1031 process. So just for an example that would fit my CCIM community is, say you've got a client who's selling a $2 million property and is going to do a 1031 and going to acquire an $8 million property. And they've got a buyer for their $2 million property that has $600,000 to put down and had $1.4 million loan all set up, ready to go. And they were going to do this acquisition, and then the seller was going to take that money and go add some more to it and buy an $8 million property. But the bank said no. So assuming that the seller is still capable of buying an $8 million property, even with the rest of the crisis, just to make this simpler, he could do a seller carry on that $1.4 million note that he didn't get from the bank and pass that on to the owner of the $8 million property and have the timing such that it would work for everybody. Now, this isn't going to work for every deal, and all the circumstances are going to be different, but I'd like you to just get the understanding that when the bank fails, there may be a way to create a promissory note and deed of trust and pass it through the 1031 process. It could either be sold for cash and then moved on to the 1031, but you could also pass that note and deed of trust through to the owner of the next property, who can continue the process. I have a little cartoon that I have done for my classes. We'll put this up so it's a little easier for you to see. But the basic process is you have one property and you have a down payment on the property and you do a seller carry. You give the down payment, here in this case $600,000 cash and $1.4 million new note, to the qualified intermediary, who then gives it to the seller of the $8 million property, who will receive, in this case, $600,000 in cash, $1.4 million seller carry note, and then assuming the seller had the extra cash, $6 million more in cash. So you can imagine it may be a way to get a transaction to happen. The note could be a short note for maybe 2 or 3 years till we get through the crisis, in which case this person would be made whole. This can be reiterated throughout the process. This applies to any size deal. It could be a $100,000 house into a $400,000 fourplex, but I just wanted to let people know sort of what I mean by the 1031 paper process. Please don't close on the first deal before you have the second one set up and somebody agree to take it, because it's hard enough to identify with cash in 45 days, a little more difficult with 1031 paper. So of course, the disclosure is, of course your client needs to talk to their attorney and their tax advisor, and you as a broker need to make sure that you're comfortable with the process. It is something you should reach out to an expert, Society of Exchange Counselors, National Council of Exchangers, or fellow CCIM who is familiar with this process. We have some videos also on our 1031 paper YouTube channel, which will be associated with the link to this video. I hope everybody's safe out there as we get back and try to reopen everything. This is a way for us just to keep working the transactions we have in way, and the new ones, this is a way to do it. I anticipate we're going to have some banking problems here for the short term. This 1031 paper is a vehicle as long as people are doing 1031 exchanges. You have a wonderful day. Everybody stay safe. Have a great day. Bye-bye.